How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder. I hope everybody is doing well. I am back from vacation, a week away, down in Mexico, Cancun. It was a great trip. It was a great trip. Had a lot of fun. Got to swim with some whale sharks. That's right. Yeah. And you're probably wondering, oh, do you have any pictures? There are some, but we would have had to have paid a lot of money to get those pictures, and we just figured, yeah, it's not worth it. So there is some footage out there of me swimming with some whale sharks. Got to see some sea turtles. Got to feed some fish. Ate some good food. Spent some quality time with the family. But it went very fast. It was probably the fastest vacation of my life. Seriously, of my life. Because we lost the first day. Our flight got delayed, I think, 3 times. So we ended up getting there late, at the resort late. So first day was a complete wash. So, and then by the time you finally get settled in and you kind of familiarize yourself with the place we were staying at, the week was over. It was gone like that. But spent a lot of time in the water, at the beach, in the pool. But yeah, it was a good time. And I tried my best to distance myself from the outside world, this world, the Yankee world, the baseball world, the sports world. But obviously, I did not. I caved in because we did have the trade deadline go down while I was away, and there was a lot of trades that went down, not just with the Yankees and New York baseball, but all over baseball. You had guys getting moved that maybe you didn't expect. We saw Mason Miller, one of the top relievers, go from the Athletics to the Padres, made his debut. Duran went from the Twins to the Phillies, and he's looked really good in his 2 appearances. I think 2 appearances with his new club. Carlos Correa, he left the Twins. They traded him. He's back with the Astros. So if you're a Yankee fan, that's awesome. But he'll be playing third base now. So, and I saw that if with him on the team next year, I believe they could put maybe Paredes at second or put him at second, and then one of them is going to play third. Because obviously you have Jeremy Pena, playing short. So so what does that mean for Altuve? You're going to put him back in the outfield again? Like I still don't understand that. But yeah, there was plenty of moves at the deadline. The Twins completely sold, like they sold what, like 8 players, something like that. The Diamondbacks, they sold off their guys. Merrill Kelly ended up going to Texas, and Suarez went to the Mariners. So he rejoins his former Diamondback teammate Josh Naylor now with the Mariners. So Mariners got a pretty good lineup now, adding those 2 bats in the order to go along with what they already have. But with all that being said, we'll get into some of the other moves also. But let's get into we'll talk about where everything kind of stands at this current moment, the standings, wild cards, all that. Let's talk about one of the main topics on this show, and that is that team behind me, the New York Yankees. So when we last spoke, the Yankees were not playing good baseball. They finished the All-Star break, or going into the All-Star break, on a better note than how it was going to look, right? They sweep Seattle. They took the first game against the Cubs. But then, Matthew Boyd and Shota Imanaga kind of shut down their lineup. So that wasn't great. And then you had the Phillies coming out of the All-Star break, right? Right? It was the Phillies. And, it just, it was more of the same. Just more. Actually, no, I'm lying. It wasn't. Was it the Phillies out of the break? No, wasn't it the? Now I'm at a loss. I'm all over the place now. But they played. Oh no, yeah, I'm really behind here. So no, they played the Braves out of the All-Star break. Sorry. They take 2 out of 3. Then you take on the Blue Jays. I apologize for that. That's I'm still in vacation mode. Forgot all about it. Tried to forget about some of these series. No, so they played the Braves, then the Blue Jays, and then they played the Phillies. That's right. So that was when we last spoke. When we last spoke, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Blue Jays. And I just said, you know what? This team's a wild card team. That's what they are. They're a wild card team, and that's what they should focus on. And then Friday comes around. They're on Apple TV again against the Phillies. And, the offense put up 5 runs, and, they had the lead in that game, in the first game. But then the Phillies, they put up 10 runs in the final 3 innings. There was a 3-run homer off the bat of JT Realmuto, and Kyle Schwarber had a couple of home runs in that game. And that was an ugly loss. That was an ugly loss. Bullpen was not good. And Will Warren actually started that game, and he was good. 5 2/3, 2 earned runs, but Tim Hill gave up a couple of runs. Luke Weaver, Ian Hamilton, Scott Efros was not good. And then they lost 9-4 last Saturday against Ranger Suarez. They were able to salvage the final game on Sunday. So they did take the final game there. Phillies won 2 out of 3. But then they went up against the Rays. They went 3 out of 4. And you're thinking, okay, now this is where things turn around. And then they get swept by the Marlins in Miami for the first time in franchise history. That has never happened. It's never happened. And Friday night's game, one of the wackiest games you will ever see. This team was up 6-0. They blow that lead. Right? They blow that lead. Well, it was 6-4. Then Trent Grisham hits a 3-run homer. You think, all right, they're going to put this game away. And then the Yankees, all their new relievers, and also a utility guy. The trade deadline acquisitions were the reason they lost the game. Right? Jake Bird comes in, gives up a grand slam. Bednar, he gives up runs. Bednar, he gives up runs. Duvall then comes in the 9th inning, and he only gets 1 out. He walked a batter. And then you had Caballero, who basically, during the Rays series, had to just switch dugouts because they were playing the Rays. He was put in to right field. Ball goes underneath his glove. When the Yankees retook the lead, they were up 12-10. They tie the game, and then I didn't even watch the final play of the final play of the game, which was the little nubber in front of home plate, and Marlins end up scoring the run. Then the Yankees lose 2-0, and then yesterday they lose 7-3, and they get swept. And again, I was trying to distance myself, but the Yankees made a ton of moves. The Ryan McMahon move was right before I went on vacation, and he's been doing well. He's been doing well, and that's what happens when you leave the Rockies and you join a better situation. He's been playing well. He's been playing good defense. He's had a couple of misplays in the field, but yesterday was rough for him because he had the golden sombrero. He had 4 strikeouts, but he has been a nice acquisition. He has been much better than anything the Yankees have had at third base since Oswaldo Cabrera got hurt. So that's encouraging. But the Yankees weren't done. All right, they made a lot of trades. A lot. They acquired 3 relievers. You get David Bednar, you get Jake Bird from the Rockies, Bednar from the Pirates closer, and then you get Camilo Duvall from the Giants. So you get those guys. You get Caballero from the Rays. And I keep thinking, every time I see his name, Caballero, I think of Chris Colabello. I get their names mixed up. Remember Chris Colabello from the Blue Jays back in 2015? So yeah, Jose Caballero from the Rays. And, not really a big bat. Utility guy, pinch runner. I think he leads the American League in stolen bases, and he stole another base on Friday. So, you had that versatility. Austin Slater, they acquired from, I think, right from the White Sox. Was a former Giant. He hasn't really done much. And they also got Ahmed Rosario as well from the Nationals to be, kind of a platoon over at third base, or really just on the left side of the infield in general. So the Yankees loaded up on right-handed bats there. They got Rosario, Caballero, and Slater. McMahon obviously is a left-handed hitter. So you got 4 bats, and then you had the 3 relievers. I think that's everybody, right? Am I missing anybody? Well, they also traded Peraza. They traded him to the Angels. So he's gone. That was, wish him the best of luck. It's just, sorry it didn't work out with the Yankees. I mean, because he was one of their top prospects. It was between him and Volpe for the shortstop position, and yeah, he just never panned out. The bat just was not there. But maybe something happens out in L.A. I don't really know. So the Yankees made a lot of moves, and I was very excited. I was like, wow, I'm going to be going home to a different team. And then Friday's game happens. They lose the day I'm traveling to come home, and then they lose yesterday, the first day I'm home. Well, I was at work yesterday. So, but the first day that I was home to watch a game really all the way through, since I left for vacation. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, this is a pretty big deal, but yeah, Aaron Judge has been out. He's been on the IL, um, uh, elbow issue, but he's going to be back this week. Nothing. The UCL was intact. It was a flexor strain, but when you see Aaron Judge go on the IL, you're concerned because this is what happened a couple of years ago. He runs into the wall out in Dodger Stadium and he bangs his toe against the wall, and then he's out for what, 2 months it was, and then the Yankees went into a free fall. Yankees are in a free fall right now, but this was before Judge got hurt. They've been in a free fall for 2 months. It all goes back to that Red Sox series. All goes back to the first time they played the Red Sox. I went to the first game. They won that game, and they were 17 games over 500 or whatever it was at the time. And since then, it's just been downhill, and they haven't recovered. And who knows if they will? Who knows? Because not only are they not in first place anymore, not only are they not in second place anymore, they're not even the first wild card team. They are now in third place in the American League East, and they are the second wild card team in the American League. And it's not like there's a lot of games that separate the teams that are behind them. No. If they get swept, they play the Texas Rangers starting tonight. If they get swept by the Texas Rangers, which is definitely possible because they got good pitching, you're going to see Nathan Eovaldi. Patrick Corbin's had a nice year for them. And then who else are they seeing? Jack Leiter. They're seeing Jack Leiter. And the Rangers, I think, since the All-Star break are like 10-5. If they get swept, they're not going to be in a playoff spot. It's going to be the Red Sox, the Mariners, and the Rangers. They got to figure it out. There's still 4.5 games back of the Blue Jays for the division. So, I mean, look, you can still make that up, but like I said prior to my vacation, focus on the wild card because I just don't see them getting back in the division. And now with the Red Sox playing really good baseball, forget it. Forget it. Red Sox have won 5 in a row. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. They are clicking on all cylinders right now. And if you go back to when the Red Sox swept the Yankees at Fenway and then Devers gets traded, you're thinking, Red Sox fans were, freaking out over the Devers trade. And I was like, yeah, why did they do that? You just swept the Yankees. They gave you new life to your season. Why did you do that? Well, there was a reason for it, because now the Giants, they've been in a free fall. They might not even make the playoffs. And the Red Sox, they look like they're going to be guaranteed to make the playoffs. Their young players are playing really well. Roman Anthony's playing well. Alex Bregman's back. They're pitching. They're a good team. Prior to this point, I didn't look at the Red Sox and say, yeah, this is a good team, because they weren't playing. They weren't playing up to their expectations. There were expectations for the Red Sox coming into the season with the moves that they made, getting Crochet, signing Alex Bregman, but they weren't doing anything. Then all of a sudden, you trade Devers, they look like a completely different team. They look like the team that you thought they were going to be in the beginning of the season. They traded Devers because he was getting too much. He was becoming a headache. So they got rid of him. And you know what? Props to them for doing that. Props for them doing that and making whoever thought they were done, whoever thought it was a punt move, that they look silly. They look silly because the Red Sox, they're a good team. They're a good team right now. And now the Yankees have to play them again at some point. And now this is with them now in the Red Sox rear view mirror. Rear view mirror. So how is that going to go? Rear view mirror. I can't even talk. So how is that going to go? Probably not well. Probably not well. Yeah, it's been a tough stretch here. Like you can't even say stretch. And all through this whole thing, this whole time period, where the Yankees have just looked like one of the worst teams in baseball, honestly, and that's not even hyperbole. Like it's not hyperbole. They can't field. Yesterday they didn't make any errors. They just couldn't hit. And then 3-run homer. Luis Heel didn't have it yesterday. First start this season, he didn't have it. They take him out. They put Hendrick in, the left-hander. Gives up a 3-run homer to Kyle Stowers, and I think that was actually Kyle Stowers' first home run off of a left-hander this season. And actually, Kyle Stowers having a really good year. He was an all-star. And he deserves it. I mean, he's had a very good year. Look at his numbers. I don't have them off the top of my head, but he had a really good year. I think he's got like 20-something home runs. I mean, he's a good player. Marlins are playing good ball right now. They have like one of the best records in baseball. I forget since what date, but they're a completely different team. Completely different team. Actually, one thing on the Red Sox. So since the Devers trade, this was yesterday. Red Sox are 25-15. Giants are 14-25. Go figure. That's baseball. And the Yankees, they have the worst road record since June 13th. You know what it is? 5-17. That's the other thing too. They just don't play. They don't play well on the road. Their home record is very good. Road record. And if you want to be a playoff team, you got to be able to win games on the road. What a rough time it is right now. I don't get it. I don't understand how every year this keeps happening. And if you remember, I said when they started this slide, I said don't let it continue, because I knew in the back of my mind that this has happened for the last few years. So it's very likely that it could happen again. And oh, has it happened. And this one might be the worst one yet, because they lose a 7-game lead. They go from second to third place now. They go from the first wild card to now the second wild card. They could be completely out of the playoff picture by the end of the week. And if that's the case, and then you just flat out miss the playoffs, this would honestly be the worst Yankee season I've ever seen in my life. And you could say, well, you're spoiled because this team has not finished with a losing record in years. This team has not finished with a losing record since I started watching them. Which is the earliest memory I have of this team is probably 2007. During the ALDS, when the Bugs were attacking Jabba Chamberlain. That's like my earliest memory. Like I do remember that. I do remember certain things from there, from that point. That's when the baseball fandom started. Right? They have not had a losing season. They've had subpar years. But I've never seen a team go from, hey, this is a pretty good team, to you're on the outside looking in. You're a non-playoff team. You flat out missed the playoffs. And they had first place for a long time. and then the Blue Jays swept them, and the Blue Jays haven't looked back since. And then the Red Sox have passed them, and this is even worse for them because if it comes down to tiebreakers, you don't have the tiebreaker against the Blue Jays, and you're not going to have the tiebreaker against the Red Sox. So now you're looking at second wildcard team. And then you're going to have to go on the road in a short series, which I have told you all constantly. I don't trust this team in a short series. Well, really, I don't trust this team in general anymore. No. And I never thought that this team was going to make a deep run and get back to the World Series and win the whole thing. No. But I thought, hey, this is a pretty good team. It looks like they've solved all their issues from last year. Let's keep it going. No. They have not solved their issues. Their issues have only gotten worse. Have only gotten worse. You thought the worst of it was in the World Series. No. This is the worst of it right now. You got guys that don't know how many outs there are. You got guys that on a pop-up on the infield get thrown out at first base. And then at the end of the game, they tell you, oh, yeah, I wouldn't do anything different. Talking about Jazz Chisholm. Pop up on the infield, right? Goldschmidt? I think Goldschmidt hit it to second base. Jazz is just standing there. Ball gets caught, and he gets thrown out at first base because he thought that they were going to let the ball drop. And he said, I wouldn't do anything different. And Aaron Boone pulled him aside, pulled him in the stairwell. I don't know what he said. Don't know what the tone of it was. But then you see him going after Travis Chapman, the first base coach. He's yelling at him. You see that. But he's got to pull the player into the stairwell. And Yankee Universe all over is like, look, he'll lash out at the media, he'll lash out at his base coaches, but you're not going to see him lash out against players in public. Although you did see a little, not to say he lashed out, but last year when he benched Gleyber Torres, the Yes Network, they panned to it. They panned to that conversation. Because Gleyber was saying, why am I being taken out? But yeah, and then also one of the games against the Rays, which was a dramatic win. Ryan McMahon had the walk-off single in extra innings. That was a crazy game too because the Yankees took the lead late. They were getting shut out like the whole game. Then they took a 2-1 lead, and then Devin Williams gives up a 2-run homer. And then the Yankees tied the game. Volpe hits the game-tying home run, and they go into extra innings. Rays take the lead, but then Bellinger has the RBI triple. He's been awesome. Bellinger, he needs to be a Yankee for life. Like, he really needs to be a Yankee for life. What a pickup he was from the Cubs. He ties the game, and then, McMahon hits the double, and they win. They took 3 out of 4 from the Rays. But before that, you have Austin Wells on first base, 1 out. Trent Grisham, a successful bunt to third base, which he almost beat it out for a single. He ends up getting thrown out at first. Austin Wells thinks that was 3 outs. And then he gets thrown out. What are we doing? What are you doing? First of all, he didn't know how many outs there were. Why would Trent Grisham, who is not a fast runner, be bunting in that situation? If there wasn't less than 2 outs, why would he be doing that? So that doesn't make sense. He's bunting you over. He's not bunting to just try to get a hit. He's bunting to move you over. And just more bad plays in the field. More bad plays in the field. The Caballero, the ball goes through his glove. Volpe with more errors. But I will say this about Volpe. He's been hitting. He's hit some big home runs. The game-tying home run against the Rays that set up the McMahon walk-off. The game-tying home run to tie it at 10 after the Yankees blew that massive lead. They still ended up losing the game. Volpe's been hitting, and he tripled yesterday. It was 6-3 after Jazz hit the 2-run homer, and then Volpe tripled, and you thought, okay, maybe another late comeback? And then Austin Wells comes up, and he just pops out the left field. So Volpe's been hitting. And when Volpe hits, I mean, when you get Judge back, that just makes the lineup so much better. So you hope that continues. But now you got a couple guys that just aren't hitting at all. Austin Wells, his batting average and OPS just keep going down. I think now his OPS is under 700. His batting average might be under 200 by the end of the week because he's not hitting. He has been such a disappointment this year. Such a disappointment. I know he's got the home runs, the RBIs. We keep talking about that, but it's just I expected so much more from him this year. Took him in both my fantasy leagues, and now he doesn't even start. I dropped him in one, still my backup in another, but he's going to be dropped once Michael King gets activated off the IL. But yeah, Austin Wells, 209, 687 OPS. Been disappointing. And Paul Goldschmidt, I was one of those people that was waiting for that other shoe to drop because I'm like, is he really going to keep this up? The guy was batting .350. The Yankees report tweeted this out yesterday. Paul Goldschmidt from March 28th to June 1st, 234 plate appearances. He's batting .340. This is a line. .340, .395, .495. On base and slugging, I think. Right? On base? And slugging. And then 148 weighted runs created plus. And then from June 1st to August 2nd, 179 plate appearances, 201 batting average, 260, 305. 55 weighted runs created plus. I mean, he's just become a non-player now. Gives you nothing. It gives you nothing with his at bats. And look, everybody praised Cashman. This was a good signing. 1-year deal. They took a chance on him. Strong second half last year, and he had a very strong first 2 months. He was up there as an all-star, to be an all-star. And then he just completely fell off. Like, he really fell off. There's been a couple of signs where it looked like maybe he was going to come out of it, but he is nowhere near the player he was at the beginning of the year, hitting-wise. So, honestly, when Judge comes back, and you're hearing that Giancarlo Stanton might be taking the field and playing right field, which he hasn't done in a couple of years. I think we talked about that. I don't even remember. Did we talk about Judge going on the IL? Because I feel like we did. That's how long it's been. That's how long it's been. Because we might have. Because I think I said, I feel like I remember saying Stanton has played the outfield in 2 years. So, if he plays the outfield, I mean, he might hurt himself. And then you lose him. You can't lose Stanton. Stanton's having a good year since he's come back. Stanton's been really good. Still swings at pitches way out of the zone at times and looks completely overmatched at times. But he's looked good since he's come back. And the Yankees cannot afford to lose him. They can't. He's a valuable piece. But because of, Judge's injury in his throwing elbow, they don't want to throw him out there. They want to just, ease him back in. He hits, and then, eventually he'll take the field again. But, I said this. I watched the Sandlot on the way back, on the flight home. And I said, just do what Smalls did in the beginning of the movie, right? He gets the ball, and then he runs it back in to the pitcher. Just have Judge do that. Judge, just catch the ball and run it back in. Just do that. So you don't have to, you can't throw right now. So just do that. You still got your legs. Right? Now the only thing is, if there's guys on base, obviously, but that'll throw a little bit of a wrench in it. But you know what? Look, if there's nobody on base, then catch the ball, just run it in and flip it to somebody, or become ambidextrous. Just throw with your other hand. I don't want Stanton in the outfield. And you know what, Stanton, before obviously all the injuries, he wasn't a bad fielder. Was not a bad fielder. I mean, he's not Judge. No, Judge is a plus right fielder. But Stanton was a good fielder in his own right. It's just now you're going to put him out there 2 years later, and all the injuries that he's dealt with, his lower body. It's a recipe for disaster. So we'll see how the Yankees handle that. But when Judge does eventually make his return to the outfield and stands back to DHing, you need to put your best guys out there. That means, and I saw the lineups on social media, Ben Rice catching, Cody Bellinger first base. Because if Austin Wells is just going to go up there and just not hit, and if Goldschmidt's just going to look overmatched, there's no point of them being in the starting lineup. Now, maybe they wake up, because Austin Wells has had some good stretches this year, but they're far and few between. And Paul Goldschmidt got off to a great start, so maybe he wakes up. But the way things are going, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. So you got to put your best guys out there. You are running out of time. Because all we keep hearing during this rough stretch is, oh, well, there's still a lot of games left. There's a lot of time left. We'll figure it out. We got to be better, all that. Soon there's not going to be much time. There's not going to be any time. And he might be on the outside looking in. So you need to put your best of the best out there. You need to put your best lineup out there. But then you could also say, well, if you put Ben Rice behind the plate, Ben Rice is not good blocking balls behind the plate. Austin Wells can do that. Cody Bellinger could play anywhere. So I'm not worried about him at first base. He could play anywhere. And Dominguez out in left field, that's a problem. Although he did make a nice play. That was an extra innings against the Rays. I thought it was going to be a home run. But he made a nice play up against the wall. Rays did take the lead at that point, but then obviously the Yankees tied and then won the game later. And Dominguez, he's been hitting a little bit better now. He's starting to get it going. Look, I still think this team will make the playoffs. But I'm not confident. I'm not confident about it. Because every time you think that they're going to get out of this, they take a step back. Right? They sweep the Mariners. They come back down 5-0. They win in walk-off fashion. Judge hits the walk-off sac fly. Volpe with the nice slide. They win that game. And then they end up, then they blow out the Cubs in the first game. They lose the next two. Then against the Braves, you pull off that comeback against them. You think that's going to be the moment. Nope. Even before that, you thought against the Mets. You thought that they were, Bellinger with the double play, doubles off Lindor. It's just every time you think that they're going to do something, it just doesn't happen. They win 3 out of 4 against the Rays. They get all these guys now to help the bullpen, to help the defense, to just help the flexibility of this team to make it more of a complete baseball team. And then they get swept by the Miami Marlins. In Miami for the first time in franchise history. And I don't want to discount the Marlins because they are playing really good baseball. They are. They're a 500 team now. They're a 500 team now. I think they were at one point they were 24-40, and now they're 55-55. I think that's what it was. So now all of a sudden, they're believing in themselves. They got good pitching. They shut down the Yankees' offense in the final 2 games. Where are the Marlins now? So the Marlins right now, 8-2 in their last 10 games. They're 7.5 games back of the Phillies for first place. I don't think they're going to catch the Phillies. I don't think this team is. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. But they have life. They have life. It's doable. They didn't sell Sandy Alcantara. So, maybe the Marlins, they go on, they continue this run and they find a way to get in. So it's not like I don't think the Yankees got swept by a team that just was playing awful baseball. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say the Marlins are a good team. They're playing like a good team right now, playing better than the Yankees. But I didn't look at this series coming in and say, yeah, the Yankees should wipe the floor with them. I was a little skeptical, and yeah, skepticism came to fruition with the sweep. A sweep. You couldn't get one. And I agree. Friday's game really set the tone for the whole series, right? Yankees should have won that game, but they didn't. But how many times have we said that about the Yankees this year? Oh, they should have won this game. They should have won this game. They should have won this game. You look at what their expected record was supposed to be. Their expected record right now should be 65-47. That should be their record right now. 65-47. Instead, they're 60-52. And they're falling fast. Mariners could pass them tonight. If the Yankees lose and the Mariners win, now they'll be the third wildcard team, and the Rangers will be one game back. Rangers win the next two, Yankees are on the outside looking at it. And then you got the Guardians. They're 3 games out. Royals are 3.5 games back. Rays are 5 games back. I still think the Yankees are going to find a way to get in. They're going to find a way to get in. If they completely miss out on the playoffs, yeah, we're going to have some conversations. We are going to have some conversations about when this about where this team goes, because they are in dangerous territory. When I heard that they were in third place, I was like, I just could not believe it. But this is the reality. This is the reality. They are not a good team right now. They're not. They're not. They're not playing like a good team. But like I said before, they also just are not good on the road. I told you their home record is very good, 34-22. It's very good. But then on the road, they're 26-30. And then they're an even 500. They're 500 against teams that are over 500, 35-35. I can't believe it. And it's not like they have no chance. It's not like there's anybody running away with it. The Blue Jays have kind of been scuffling a little bit as of late. The Astros are now actually 2-8 in their last 10 games. Tigers have kind of been going through it. They're still 5 games back of the best record in the American League. But they don't take advantage. They just continue to hurt themselves with bad base running, miscues in the infield and now in the outfield also. Well, the outfield's kind of been a thing too, but really on the infield with the errors from Volpe and just, the revolving door over at third base and, the wild pitches. Also, another thing with these Yankee pitchers, the walks have been killing them. I mean, Rodon the other night, 5 walks, healed, no control. I mean, the walks are killing them. Look, they got Max Fried going tonight. Can he once again, can Yankee fans turn their lonely eyes to him, and will he be the stopper and set the Yankees on a better path? And then you get Judge back. Mark Leiter Jr. is supposed to come back soon. Take that as however you want. And maybe the new guys will figure it out. Jake Bird was better his second appearance. Bednar was better after he, blew the lead. So, yeah, it's just not looking good. Not looking good right now. And everybody is just all over Boone, as usual. Look, I try to... I'm not a Aaron Boone apologist. I don't want it to come off as I'm, saying he could do no wrong. But at some point, and Ben Rice said it. maybe a little sense of urgency, and also a word that gets thrown around a lot, which is one of my favorite words, I would say, is accountability. Accountability, accountability, accountability. That is a word you always hear. And when you have guys like Jazz Chisholm that do what they do, and Austin Wells who does what he does, and there's no repercussions, that's why you have fans calling for Aaron Boone's job. Because when he benched Gleyber Torres last year, that lit a fire under Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres was a different player after that. Still made some boneheaded plays in the infield in the World Series, but he was one of their best postseason hitters last year. Finally found his spot in the leadoff, batting leadoff in the lineup. It did something. So I don't know why it can't be done here. I don't know why it can't be done here. No accountability, but you can see him yelling at his base coaches. He gets into it with the media. But with his players, I mean, yeah, he talked to Jazz, but if Jazz wasn't in the lineup last year, I mean, yeah, Yankee fans would be, I guess, happy about it. They're like, hey, all right, he's not accepting this nonsense. But the other thing too is, everybody, the Yankees are trying to win games. So if you bench Jazz Chisholm, you are essentially, saying, yeah, well, you're essentially saying, look, we're disciplining you. I mean, maybe you put Jazz in like a pinch hitting situation. But the Yankees are trying to win games, so it's a tough spot for that. Like, at least last year, Yankees were going through their slump, but they never really lost their lead. They were always, I mean, they were battling it with the Orioles, but they won the division. Yankees now are just free falling, and they're just looking up at everybody. So, yeah, I don't know, but I've just never seen a Yankee team play like this. Just particularly with like the base running and the defense. Like, I've just never seen a team this bad. And they're not the worst team in the league with base running and errors, but because, I watch them, most of the people watching this watch them every day religiously, you would think they are the worst team. But they're not. It just seems that way. And just getting mocked on social media. Yeah, they're not. Look, nobody fears the Yankees. Nobody fears the Yankees. If you're a Yankee fan that grew up in the 90s and you saw all those championships, and, even, well, we'll even going further back, not the 80s, but, if you're an even older Yankee fan than that. And then obviously before the, into the 2000s, before, 04. I mean, these teams, nobody fears the Yankees anymore. No. Nobody fears the Yankees. They are not a feared team at all. They're not. I mean, they do have guys that, strike fear, like, Giancarlo Stanton and his playoff performance last year, and obviously Aaron Judge. That's why, a lot of teams are doing this lately. But they're not the big bad Yankees. No. To me, watching them, they never really were the big bad Yankees. I mean, really, I guess you could say the only year that they really were was 2009. Like, I don't think last year's team, you feared last year. No, you didn't. Dodgers were the team you feared. And that's what the Yankees ran into in the World Series. But I really can't think, since maybe 2009, there was not one year where you looked at the Yankees and you said, yeah, I fear this team. Because there was always another team that you feared more. The Astros, and obviously the 2018 Red Sox. Which we go back to those years a lot. Because 2018 to 2019, those were the best teams in the Judge era. They were. Those are the best teams in the Judge era, was between 2018 and 2019. Those 2 years right there. But it just so happened that you had the Astros and the Red Sox, who are better. I mean, the 2018 Red Sox is, again, one of the greatest teams I've ever seen in my life. I mean, that's just how it is now. They're not a feared team. They got the payroll. They got one of the top payrolls in baseball. But it hasn't amounted to anything. And going on probably 16 years. Because I didn't come into this year again thinking they were going to win the World Series. I didn't. But that's kind of where we're at. And again, you hear this phrase, oh, they're the Yankees, they're the Yankees. To me, I don't know what that means. Like, there's other Yankee fans that have that entitlement because they've seen it. Like, they've seen, like, if you're an older Yankee fan and you've seen the 90s and you've seen all these other championships, going even further back, like I said, you should have that entitlement because you're like, I expect my team to be at that standard. And when I was younger, I expected that because I grew up as a Yankee fan saying, hey, like, I'm growing up with a team that, has all these championships. Like, yeah, I want to see more. But as you get older and you start to mature and you start to realize that's not what this Yankee team has been in my lifetime. They've been a good team. This team has been, the Yankees over the course of these years that I've watched them, like I said before, have not had a losing record. Well, they haven't had a losing record since, 1992, 3, whatever it was. They've been a good team. They make the playoffs every year for the most part. But they've had down years. But the down years are career, like Aaron Rodgers said, for career years for other teams. Like, there was one year the Yankees won 84 games. Diamondbacks won 84 games a couple years ago, and they made it to the World Series. But back when the Yankees finished with 84 wins, there was no 3 wildcard teams. There was only 2. So those are the down years for the Yankees. And then a couple years ago, they went 82 and 80, which I thought they were going to finish under 500 that year. But then they played better, and they were able to finish over 500 by only 2 games. But yeah, I kind of matured. Should I say is it matured? Well, yeah, I definitely matured. And I've just kind of gone with the idea of, look, I don't know what the Yankees mean. Like, we're the Yankees. That phrase. Because other than 2009, I mean, yeah, like last year they traded for Soto. But Soto didn't stay with the Yankees. He went to the Mets. Like, if this happened like years ago, and the Mets had the Wilpons still owning the team, Soto would have stayed with the Yankees. But, now we live in an age where there are teams out there that can outbid the Yankees. We live in a world where the Mets can outbid the Yankees for players. And, honestly, that was the best thing that could have happened to the Mets is the Wilpons just selling off their stock, and now Steve Cohen is now the owner. Like, look, I have a ton of friends and family that are Met fans. They deserve it. Okay? All right? It's been a long time. But yeah, it's just that era of the Yankees, everybody, is over, and I'm sick and tired of hearing, oh, if George was here, this wouldn't be happening. He's not here. He's not here. He's not coming back. He's not coming back. I'm sorry. He's not coming back. But it does frustrate me that there is a lack of accountability. And it's, look, I'm going to say it again. Boone can only do so much. But it's just when you got guys just screwing up in the field like that, and it's just now it's gotten to the point where it just doesn't seem like they're trying to win for him. Like, you get that feeling like they're not responding to him. Because sometimes, like, he gets thrown out of a game, he's banging his fist against the desk and the water bottle goes flying. You think that, lights a fire under the team. It's just not there. It's stale. That it's Savages in the box. It's not there anymore. Next man up. That it doesn't work. It's not working anymore. I just think if they miss the playoffs, you need a new voice in it. But they just extended him. So are they gonna? I don't know. I really, if they keep everything, if they miss the playoffs and you keep everything the same, like when are you gonna make changes? This team had a 7-game lead and they lost it. And if you end up missing the playoffs entirely, someone needs to lose their job. And you can't say that Brian Cashman didn't go out and try to improve this team. He did. And everybody praised him for it. The Yankees have one of the best trade deadlines. They got all these players. They got depth on their bench. They added pitchers to their bullpen, which needed help. They did all that. They're still losing games. You can't say Brian Cashman didn't do anything. But something has to be done if they miss the playoffs. I'm sorry. And this comes off of the year of going to the World Series. And I'm going to say it again, everybody. If you think that Juan Soto would make a difference with what is happening right now, you're wrong. You're wrong. They went through a slump last summer with him on the team. And I'm not saying it was his fault. But he was on the team last year. They slumped. This team can't field. The pitching has struggled mightily. Soto is not a great fielder and he's not a great base runner. And the Yankees have one of the best offenses numbers-wise in the entire league. So how much better is the offense going to be if you just if you take everybody that you replace Soto with? And if you had Soto, you wouldn't have Max Fried. So the pitching would be even worse. So you'd probably be like in 4th place. So Juan Soto would not make a difference. Now, if you want to say next year and beyond that, that's different. But as of for right now, Juan Soto would not make a difference if he was with the Yankees right now. He wouldn't. He wouldn't. So don't say the Yankees, like, yeah, would you rather have Soto than, like, Dominguez? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yes. Yes. Would you rather have him than Grisham? Yes. Even though, like, Grisham plays a very good center field. Bellinger, I don't want to say yes, because Bellinger could play all over the place. He's a complete player. Even though, yes, Soto's a much better hitter. But yeah, like, Soto would not be making a difference right now. It would be the same thing as last year. Only this year's worse. Because we're in August now, and they just look like they're still not getting out of it. And I don't know if they will. I really don't. I really don't. I mean, yeah, Judge comes back tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously huge. But they were doing all of this before Judge got hurt. So what makes us think it's going to change? And I know everyone was going crazy the other day because for the Speedway, what was it? The Speedway Classic with the Reds and the Braves. Fox was covering the game, and obviously you have Ortiz and Jeter and A-Rod, and A-Rod and Jeter talked about what was going on, and of course them two had the Yankees going to the World Series. They had them going to the World Series. Big Papi has the Red Sox going to the World Series. Look, I love that group. All right, all of them together. But I mean, come on. At least last year, Jeter had the Orioles going. A-Rod picked Yankees Dodgers, which he ended up being correct. But he did have the incorrect winner. It's just maybe you try to pick other teams. But they talked about the Yankees' struggles, and Jeter said they're making too many mistakes. They're playing sloppy. And then A-Rod said, if I made a mistake like that, I'd be benched the next day. it was funny because then I was listening to sports talk radio here, and they were talked about A-Rod saying that. They said A-Rod would not have been benched there after that if he made a mistake like that. Are you kidding? But you know what? They wouldn't make mistakes like that. And then someone will clip this and show the video of Jeter and A-Rod colliding on that pop up on the infield. But you know what? Those guys on the left side of the infield, they were money all the time. All the time. You didn't have to worry about them making mistakes like these Yankees teams are making. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it just comes down to, I mean, these players have been playing this game their entire life. They shouldn't be making these mental mistakes. But yeah, coaching, you got to question the coaching. What are they teaching these players? And look, this is coming from me, all right? And if you know me, when I played baseball, all right, I wasn't going anywhere. All right? I wasn't on a pathway to the major leagues. It was not happening. That's why I'm doing this. I'm better with this. Some people probably say I'm not good. I'm not very good. But you know what? For the people that do, I appreciate you. But I'm doing this because I couldn't do this. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't say I was the worst player to ever, worst person to ever touch a baseball. No. But I had mental mistakes. I couldn't field. All right? I got thrown out on the base paths for boneheaded things. I'll give you an example. And I brought this up to someone yesterday or recently. Actually, yeah. No, it was yesterday. So I think it was an infield single, right? I get to first base. Now, rather than turning the other way and walking back to first base, in foul territory, I made the turn like I was going to second base. And I got tagged out. And that was a boneheaded play by me. And believe me, there was plenty of other plays I made in the field. Dropping pop-ups on the infield, drop third strike, catcher throws it to me, I end up dropping the ball. There's been plenty of things I did on the field I misplayed, where I got thrown out doing something incorrect. So I shouldn't I shouldn't be criticizing me, but you know what? You're in the major leagues. You should know what to do in these situations. And you just continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. You got these other teams that are struggling. You could take advantage of that. It's a tough watch right now. It is. And I was hoping that, I go on vacation, because it's the same thing that happened last year. I went on vacation. I from start to finish, I kept up with the team, but I just, that was when they got swept by the Reds, and then the Red Sox won that series. The only game they won was Ben Rice's 3-homer game. But they were not playing well when I went on vacation last year. This year, they won the first full day I was on vacation, and then they win 3 out of 4 against the Rays, and you're thinking, all right, they're going to turn it around. And then the Marlins series happens. And now I got to watch this team every day from here on out. Well, thank goodness football is back, everybody. It is back, and we got things to talk about there. So there might be another video that comes out regarding Dallas Cowboys star player Michael Parsons. So I might do a video after that, after this one. But yeah, it's left the same, came back the same thing. They're not playing well, and I don't know when it's going to change. I don't know. I don't think Judge is going to save them, because again, this was going on before he got hurt. I don't know. Aaron Boone keeps saying they got to play better. That's it. And Jeter said the same thing. They got to clean it up. Basically says the same thing Boone says, but, because Jeter has 5 championships and, was never really at least since I was started watching, was part of a team that plays baseball like that, like this. So yeah, you're gonna listen to Jeter. You're gonna listen to A-Rod. But with Boone, Yankee fans have had it with Boone. They've wanted him gone since the first year they had him. This is the first year, and they got Girardi, Joe Torre, bring him back. Come on, come on. Especially Girardi, because when I started watching, Joe Torre was gone. Like that. When 2007 was his last year, so all I really know is Girardi and Boone. That's it. And Girardi, everybody wanted him gone, but now they want him back. Well, guess what, everybody? He's not coming back. He's staying up in the broadcast booth. Sorry. And if Boone gets let go, yeah, you could pop some champagne and start partying and run through the streets, but you run around your block. They're gonna hire someone that's gonna be the same exact way as Boone. Sorry, that's just the truth of the matter. It's the same kind of philosophy. Boone buys into what they do. But there needs to be changes there, because I don't understand how, if you're an executive of this team, if you're an executive, if you're in the front office, if you're Hal Steinbrenner, if you're watching the product that is on the field, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And I just mean in terms of just the fundamentals. Everybody talks about fundamentals. Fundamentals and accountability. That's all you hear about. That's what's not good enough. Because this team, on paper, has got a lot of talent. It's got a lot of talent. But they lack discipline on this field. On the field. And there's nobody, on player-wise, that's going to get in their face and say, this is not good enough. They don't have that. They don't have that. That is what is missing from this team. There is no CC Sabathia. There's no Brett Gardner. And I'm saying that because those are the two guys that, were the lasting members from, the core four that led into the Judge era. Those are the last two guys. And those two guys are missing from this team. Guys like that. It's just a different era. It's a different era. And I don't like how they're, like Jazz saying I wouldn't do anything different. That's a problem. That's a problem. You got to learn from your mistakes. Because if you make the same mistake again, I mean, Yankee fan base is not. The Yankee fan base is just losing it. And if you see another thing like that, you're gonna keep losing it because then nothing's gonna be done about it. It's tough. It's tough what's going on right now, but if you're a Yankee fan, you just got to stay the course. Got to stay the course. And just hope it eventually turns it around. The season's not over. It's not. Like, there's been people saying, oh, I give up. It's over. I'm done. They've been saying this for weeks now. No. See it all the way through. See it all the way through. If they miss the playoffs, then we'll have a conversation. Because there's 2 months left. Like, remember in 2021, Yankees were struggling, They really were never, like, widen the gap from the win-loss total, right? They were hovering around 500. Then all of a sudden, they had that 2-week stretch where they won 13 games in a row. And then they ended up finishing with 92 wins, right? And everyone's like, oh, the Yankees, they didn't have a bad year. They won 92 games. No. They had one really good stretch that inflated their record. That's what happened. So That's kind of something the Yankees need. They haven't had that this year. They haven't had a 2 week stretch like that where they just, you win 13 games in a row, 14 games in a row, whatever it was. They swept the Red Sox in Fenway. I think that was a part of that. And you had the, right? Or maybe that was after the, I know they swept the Braves in there. And that was the year the Braves won the World Series. Um, but yeah, no, they need a stretch like that where they win for 2 weeks. That's what they need. But the way this team's playing, no idea. But yeah, so I've been going on for a while, everyone. I apologize. I kind of came out flat because I was thinking, I forgot about the Blue Jay series and the Brave series right out of the break. It's been a while, so I gotta get back into things. But yeah, this trade deadline was very busy. A lot of players moved, and currently where everything sits right now, so you have the Tigers and the Blue Jays tied for the best record in the American League. Then you have the Astros, who are third, Yankees, Mariners, and Red Sox. They control the three wild card spots. The Red Sox have the top wild card spot. Yankees are second. Mariners are third. Rangers 2 games back. Then you look over in the National League. The Brewers, they got the best record in the National League right now. So remember when they got swept by the Yankees, the torpedo bat controversy, all that. Well, they got the best record in not just in the National League, but in all of baseball. So go figure. Dodgers right behind them. They control the West. Phillies are the number 3 team, and then you got the Cubs, the Mets, and the Padres. They control the wild card spots. Red Sox are 3 games back at the Blue Jays. Yankees are 4.5 games back. Tigers are going to win the Central. I mean, the Guardians are 8 games back, although they've been playing a little bit better, but Tigers, that's their division. Astros are 2.5 games up in the Mariners. They've lost 3 in a row, so that's not over yet. Yankees will be playing the Rangers tonight. Rangers are 4.5 games back. Mets are a half game back at the Phillies, so that's going to keep going back and forth the rest of the way. Cubs are 2 games back at the Brewers. Padres 3 games back at the Dodgers. Blake Snell actually just came back from the Dodgers, so that was big. So we'll see how tight that race gets. But yeah, the Padres. I mean, they strengthened their bullpen, getting Mason Miller. That was a big trade, and they gave up a lot to get him. Let me see if I can pull up all the trades to go through. But yeah, it was a very busy trade deadline. I mean, I didn't know like who's gonna get moved and all that, but there was a lot. So yeah, Padres, they gave up one of their top prospects. They got Mason Miller and J.P. Sears from the A's. Carlos Correa went back to the Astros from the Twins. We talked about that. Suarez got traded back to Seattle. Yohan Duran got traded to the Phillies. We mentioned that. We talked about the Yankees trades. Merrill Kelly, Rangers. The Mets, they acquired more pitching, relief pitching. They got Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals, so that was big. Shane Bieber went to the Blue Jays. He hasn't pitched all year. They also got the Padres also got Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano. Also in a deal. We talked about Naylor going to the Mariners. The Red Sox got Dustin May, so he reunites with Walker Buehler from the Dodgers. They get him. Rays were weird. They traded Zach Littell, or strange. They traded Zach Littell to the Reds, and then they got Griffin Jacks from the Twins, and they traded Taj Bradley. The Mets got Tyler Rogers. They traded three players. 2 pitchers, Jose Butto and Blade Tidwell from their pitching repertoire, and Drew Gilbert also. Harrison Bader got traded to the Phillies. I kind of wanted him instead of Slater for the Yankees. Mets actually got Cedric Mullins, so they addressed their needs. They needed a center fielder. They needed more relief pitching. They did that. Reds got Cabrian Hayes. And then I saw Charlie Morton pitched for the Tigers last night. They got him from the Orioles. Mikey Stremski got traded to the Royals from the Giants. Nestor Cortez went to the Padres, so he got moved again. Rays got Adrian Hauser. Willie Castro went to the Cubs. So, yeah, the Twins really sold off. Brewers got both Shelby Miller and Jordan Montgomery. Astros got Jesus Sanchez. Freddie Fermin, the Padres acquired catcher. Tigers got Kyle Finnegan. And Paul Sewald they also got. Yeah, there was just a lot of trades. They just kept coming. Oh, also Miguel Andujar on the Reds as well. The Reds traded for him. Cubs got Michael Soroka. Steven Matz, the Red Sox acquired from the Cardinals. Caleb Ferguson went to the Mariners for bullpen help. Andrew Chafin from the Angels. Angels still, trying to act like they are in it, but they're probably not going to do anything. Yeah, just a lot, a lot. Royals got Randall Grichuk. Yeah, so a lot of trades. Very busy trade deadline. But yeah, there was no like Paul Skeens or Jose Ramirez that got moved. But yeah, no, the guys that you expected to get moved got moved. So yeah, that's kind of where we sit here on August 4th. A lot of trades went down. The Yankees just still aren't playing good baseball. But no, I mean, look, if you're a fan of a team that's playing good baseball right now, like if you're a Marlins fan, gotta love the way they're playing. But also, nothing's guaranteed. I'm just saying that just because the Yankees played the Marlins, but nothing's guaranteed. I mean, nothing is locked up. Like everything's in striking distance. If you don't necessarily have the best record in baseball right now, if you're within striking distance, you still have a chance. You know, other than like the Tigers, there's really no division that I look at and say, yeah, the division race is over. So we could see changes within the coming weeks. It's a roller coaster. That's going to be for the next, 2 months. So I don't know if there's anything else to bring up. We kind of covered everything. I apologize if this was kind of, all over the place. But don't worry, we're gonna try to get everything. We're trying to get videos out each day, so make sure to tune in. You know where to find us. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can listen to us. Just look up Infinite Sports Official. Make sure to follow us on the social media platforms in the description, and make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Continue to grow this thing, and believe me, we're going to get to football season soon, and I cannot wait for that because we will be having videos out constantly. Constantly. So until next time, everybody, we're gonna end it here. Until next time, everybody, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.